Hey guys, welcome to Her Voice in Politics. This is your host, Rogina.
And Emma. We're your directors of comms, and this is our president, Aniela.
Hi everyone, thank you again for listening in today and helping us support our goal of empowering women. We hope you enjoy the episode.
Let's meet our guest for today, Sofia Ouslis.
Meet Sofia, the current president of the Social Science Student Council, pursuing an honors degree in political science and governance. Her story is a testament to resilience, leadership, and unwavering dedication. Not only has Sofia excelled academically, earning multiple awards and scholarships, but she has also held various leadership positions across Western University's landscape. From president of the SSC and Chief Operating Officer of the National Panhellenic Conference at Alpha Phi to counselor at the USC Western University Student Council.
But Sofia's impact extends far beyond the boardrooms and lecture halls. As one of the founding executives of Western Women in Politics, that's us, she's been a driving force behind its growth and success. Sofia's genuine support for others is palpable, earning her the reputation of a true girl's girl.
Join us as Sofia shares her journey from navigating rejection to fostering a community of mutual support and collaboration. Get ready to be inspired as we delve into themes of woman empowerment, sisterhood, and resilience.
Hey, Sofia, welcome to our podcast.
Hi everyone, I'm super excited to be here and thank you for all the kind words. I can't wait to start my podcast.
Thanks so much for being here. Happy International Women's Month to you, by the way.
Love that.
Sofia, you've had a long journey of diverse political roles, from chair of external affairs at the USC to president of the SSSC. Could you walk us through it?
Yes, for sure. So thank you so much, Emma, and thank you, Regina and Aniela and Faustina for having me today. I think it started in my Saugeen dorm room in first year. I am obviously in political science, but I wanted to see if I can volunteer and get involved at the local level. I remembered working and meeting a counselor, and he had told me he was the youngest counselor in King Township. I had no idea what it meant, but I emailed him saying I would love to volunteer and get, a little bit more into the, political realm. So I started volunteering for him, and then I wanted to get involved on campus. I originally applied for the Social Science Student Council and was rejected as a first-year rep, but I really took rejection as redirection, and I talk about this a lot of there's always better things around the corner, and it might not be the time at that exact time to have that position. So I was rejected, but I got involved in other ways, like founding Western Women in Politics, which was great, and finding different leadership roles in a women's organization, which is Alpha Phi at Western University. So that was kind of my beginning experience. And then when I went into second year, I saw that the University Student Council was having a campaign school, and they had like a free lunch. And I was like, you know what? Free lunch seems cool. I'll go. I was there with 3 other people. It was like a rainy day. It was still COVID. I was wearing a mask. And I decided to go and just learn about my options kind of vibe. I'd never been into student government in high school. I'd never gotten involved in that way, even though I'd wanted to. I just couldn't afford it. I had to work. So because of that, I was like, you know what? This is a great time, super interesting. And I spent the day there, learned all about the USC. And then they actually told me, okay, you should run to be a counselor, but you should also apply for the board of directors. So I applied for the board of directors, also got rejected, which was actually, they had said to me that it's typically like an Ivy role and a male-dominated role. They really wanted more women. They really wanted people that weren't in Ivy. So I was like, you know what, it's a great opportunity. I also didn't mind the practice, like interviewing stuff, but I unfortunately didn't get it, which I was upset about. But I was like, you know what, I went to campaign school anyway to be a counselor. So I was like, I'll just try it again. So I ran a campaign completely from the outside. I didn't know anyone. Actually, the only person I had seen run an election was Emily Kalajian and Hannah Gaddis. When I was in first year, I saw some of their pictures and Nika Bajaj. So they had really inspired me. But other than that, I didn't know any of them personally. I just had watched their campaigns and thought they were cool. So I decided to run to be a counselor. A couple months later, I put in a lot of effort, but I knew that if I didn't get it, totally okay. I had a blast because I was so outside of the bubble that I just reached out to everyone I knew. I was like, oh my God, you're on the basketball team. Would you tell your friends? I'm ready to be a social science counselor. So I worked my butt off and I was the highest elected. I got like 800 votes. And I actually just saw like 2 years ago today, I got the notification. I was like in my bed alone. I was so proud. Like when I found out, I was so excited.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, it was
That's
so cool.
impressive.
Yeah. So that was kind of the beginning journey. I didn't totally know what it came. Like I didn't know I would actually be on the Triple SC, which I'd always wanted to be a part of. I just know I would represent social sci. So that was a fantastic experience. And then I was the VP events of Western Women in Politics, which was great. And I think all these different bodies of support, especially like women bodies of support and different groups, made me know that I would be a great candidate for social science president. So I ran last year and I tried to do a similar thing of getting people involved and getting people outside of the bubble voting and interested. And I'm here today and I was successful and it's been the best year ever with an amazing team. So those are my different experiences. There's like a couple things throughout the way that I've been involved in. One thing that I'm really lucky to have impacted is I was on the Purple Care Trust, which is Western's healthcare plan, and I was able to increase our mental health coverage from $750 to $1,200 annually, which was probably just one of my proudest moments alongside mentoring different people to get involved, especially different women and different diverse individuals. So I think that's a bit of a background on, my kind of story at Western, but everything that has led me to this point and really have prepared me for what I'll do in the future and kind of empower other people to do the same.
That's incredible. It takes a lot of drive to put yourself out there and get involved, especially after you've had some like times of rejection. Have you always been that way where you're just so driven and ambitious?
I think when I was younger, I think everyone feels this way, but rejection is very tough. And I think
Yep.
you can take it personally. But I honestly think when I didn't have I had a good experience in high school, but I think that it was a pretty toxic like environment. So I was like, you know what? University, everyone's new, everyone's trying out new things. So I think in my like dorm room in COVID, I was like, you know what? There's no reason to let rejection take you down. People apply to hundreds of jobs and it's not personal that they don't get them. They just might not be the right fit at that time. They might not have that right experience. They might just be too young. So I honestly think COVID and coming to university was just a good eye opener for rejection is not necessarily that something is personal or it's something about you, but it can be the situation, the other people. So I think I always, as a young girl, was very like confident and comfortable and driven, but I think that this really came from being in a new environment and knowing that people should be taking these risks, and if they succeed, great, and if they don't succeed, they should just try again. So I think a mix of the two, but definitely something that I've developed as someone looking up to different role models and women who've had the same experiences of rejection, and watching somebody maybe not get a role one time, but then the next year they're in that same position that they thought they would be in. So yeah, I think it's something I developed. Maybe I had a little tinge of it, but something that definitely came with time.
That's such a great mindset to have, and I think it really indicates how you've gotten this far, and it's exciting to know that you will go far with that mindset.
Thank you. Oh, so sweet.
I also want to say something. I remember hearing from you last year when I don't know where you said it to me when, but you said like rejection is not redirection. And since you said that to me, like I'm not even joking. I have like applied for things. I've gotten rejected easily. I can say that, but I've also gotten things.
Yeah.
And like it's not saying like it was because of you, but like it was because of you. Like I don't want to say like that, but like
that is so sweet.
Because I personally like rejection is sad, it's
100%.
sad. No one likes it, but it's like after you saying that to me, like I'm like, oh wait, like it's not that bad. Like,
exactly.
It's really not that bad.
I'm
it's
so
okay
glad.
There's also we're in university. There's so many opportunities.
Oh yeah, and so many people that are qualified
exactly,
going for the same one.
Exactly.
I'm so glad you said that because I think that
100%.
There's people that have they've said things and I'm like, oh my god, that'll stay with me forever. So I so appreciate that you feel that way too.
That's so funny that you have that story, because Faustina was also saying, she was like, I can't wait for you to interview Sofia. She's such a girl's girl. I feel like we just had a prime example right there.
You're so
right?
sweet.
Yeah.
I love you. You guys are the best.
So speaking of which, I guess, your next
yes.
follow-up question.
So as someone who works with a wonderful team of women at the Triple SC, women in politics, and more. Is there anything that resonates with the phase woman supporting woman?
Yeah, this is a fantastic question. And I cannot, you cannot thank enough your team, even being surrounded by the Western Women in Politics comms team right now. You just have so much pride to be surrounded by people who are working towards the same goals and trying to achieve, commonalities. So I think on my team at Western Women in Politics, Triple SC, women supporting women is incredibly important. Even when I think about the different classes I take that I've taken with Aniela, the president, and different individuals, we learn a lot about when women have bodies of support. They run in elections, they win elections, they move up in organizations. And obviously, this isn't the be all end all of life, but it's really, really important that people that have not been typically represented in politics or leadership have people around them supporting them. Of course, I think it's really important to have people who understand your experiences, other women supporting you, but I also think any groups of support, having people have your back and be able to keep pushing you forward is such a blessing. One thing I just learned about in a gender in civic leadership class was about communities where moms find support, and it really diminishes postpartum depression and things like that, and it helps people get back on their feet, feel comfortable, and feel empowered to raise their children and build communities. So I think that women supporting women is a fantastic phrase and has really come to life in the different roles that I've had. I just went to a women in leadership brunch on International Women's Day, and I can't remember the phrase perfectly, but it was from a woman on campus, Rubena Singla, who started a lingerie company, and she's actually still a student at Western. It's really cool. She's super inspiring.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, oh my God, it's fantastic. I'll show you guys after. But she said that if you're in a room full of opportunities, would somebody say your name or bring up your name? And I think that's such a good concept, and it conceptualizes like women supporting women and people supporting other people. Is if you have an opportunity, are you bringing somebody up for it? Are you nominating somebody? Are you saying, I'm going to connect you with this resource? And I think that that's something that we might not all think of consciously, but it's something that we might all do, and I think it changes worlds and opportunities by a lot.
You do that. Yeah,
Thank you.
you do.
Honestly, I love giving people, if I'm nothing, I'm resourceful. Like, I love resources. I'll be like, oh my God, you should apply for this. Or,
I would love to hear more of your thoughts on this and whether you agree. But being a girl's girl, to me, how I would define it, is not just, being there for your friends and like being close to other women, but it's reaching out that hand first to support other women, because we need those supports and networks. And if you sort of extend yourself to other girls, they'll sort of do the same.
Yeah.
Because it can be hostile otherwise sometimes,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But how else would you define a girl's girl? And with that sort of women supporting women in mind, what legacy do you hope you'll leave behind?
I love that question. Also, I think you have such a good like voice for podcasts and like.
Oh, thank you.
No problem.
I was hearing it back at the time, and I was like, oh.
No,
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, it's very calming, soothing. It's very like, I think you would be great for like presentations and public speaking. Actually, it makes me think of when you talked in class. I was like, oh my gosh, she has a really good like public speaking
Oh my God,
voice.
girls.
I think that girls girl thing might also come in handy with like rejection is redirection. I think if people see other individuals as competition, it's tough to think you can support people without boundaries. But I think when you start to perceive different opportunities as never ending, because they really are never ending. You might be running against somebody for the same role, but if you're not successful in that role, you want to have their support with the next one, or you want to support them for the next one. So I think that being a girl's girl is just about knowing that there is so many opportunities out there, and you want somebody who has a genuine personality, a kind heart to be in those roles, and you want people to be successful. I think I have a very like optimistic outlook of the world and like hopefulness that, living is about being happy and is about like having good things and smiling and yada, yada, yada. But I think that it all goes hand in hand with being a girl's girl, supporting other people to do what they want and also, achieve everything they can do. And if that means, being successful in school, then that's what it means. If it means volunteering in different communities, that's what it means. But it looks different to everyone, but it impacts everyone's life in the same way and hopefully brings positivity and better things to everyone.
And it's so amazing, like the positivity you've spread. Like the founding of Women in Politics, for instance, is just such an amazing network. It's so just incredible. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't for
I know. I'm so glad to see how
it's taking off.
Yeah.
And the opportunities it's given us.
Oh, yeah.
To host a podcast.
I know, it's amazing. So glad.
Speaking of women in politics, let's talk about how our club has flourished to what it is now. Aniela?
Yeah, so I've been with the club for the past 3 years. I started off as first year rep, and I came into it kind of not really knowing what WIF was or like what poli sci was. It was my first year. I was clueless. But coming into this club, it was a great opportunity to kind of meet people who are also interested in the same things as me. And also, like, again, in first year, you have no idea what you're doing. You have general interests, but you don't know like exactly what you love or what you want to pursue. So being in this kind of collective group of people with a bunch of different passions, but all in the same kind of spectrum or scope, that was really amazing to kind of redirect me a little bit and kind of show me what I like, what I don't like, and have this amazing community behind me that was always supporting me and always going to empower me. So in terms of what the club actually was, we didn't have too much going on in that first year. We had just started. We really didn't know what we were doing at all. But we had a couple of events going, and they were pretty basic. But one of the first ones, actually, the first thing I remember where I met everyone for the first time in person, too, because, again, it was COVID year, so it was pretty tough being online. But we met with Kate Graham online, and she's she mayor, or she ran for mayor?
No. She actually, it was funny. She ran to be the member of provincial parliament for London North Centre, but there was a poll that came out, and it was like, who's like your guys' top pick for mayor to the city of London? And she was the only person that beat the current mayor, because she's so well known and she really impacted my life. Like, Anielle and I met her at an event. She had just recently given birth. She had run for leader of the Liberal Party of Ontario, and she had run while pregnant. So she was talking to us, and she was a Western prof and a Huron prof. She was talking to us, and maybe she was mentioning that in 10 months she was going to run for member of provincial parliament. And it was really cool talking to her. I was really inspired, but the event ended and I didn't really do anything with it. None of us really did anything with it. She was still teaching. She was preparing. And then maybe 6 months later, I was like, you know what? I need to get some experience on the ground volunteering for politics. And I think it's really important to volunteer for a person that you support. It's not always about partisan politics, but I think for me, it's about, who's an individual who you can see being a leader. I think being a leader is very different from being a politician.
Definitely.
So I signed up to volunteer, and I started volunteering, and then I was able to get a job with her and get paid to help her out. But she has really changed my life. And her changing my life, she's now my thesis supervisor and she's a great mentor, is also Western Women in Politics changing my life, because I would have never had that opportunity. And I think it's a huge testament to this organization being women supporting women and girls supporting girls, but also connecting people with opportunities that can impact them in the craziest ways that they never knew possible.
Yeah, definitely. I can also speak to the fact that we connect with other schools across the province, and that's how I met someone who I guess I could call them a mentor at this point. Her name's Carolyn, and she works in the federal government for one of the ministers under their department. Talked to her so many times. She's taught me lots about what the job actually looks like if you're working in Parliament on the Hill, something I never would have known if this club hadn't introduced me to that. So not only do you build up this community behind you within Western, but you're meeting people all across the province who want you to reach your goals, pursue your goals, and are going to help you do that.
Yeah, it's crazy too to think about how Anna and Caitlin, the co-presidents for 2 years, and the thought process behind WHIP.
Yeah.
The co-founders, we were able to join them to have this club come to fruition, have shaped our lives so much as well. They went to this conference, the Queen's Female Leadership in Politics Conference, before Aniela and I were even in school.
Yeah.
And that's when the thought process, the idea of Western Women in Politics really came to be. And so they put in so much work and dedicated their time in university to that. And then Aniela, Regina, Faustina, and a lot of members of our club were able to finally go in person this year, thanks to some generous sponsors, which is really great. But it's absolutely unreal to see the fruition that our club has come to, and the development and change over the years of, you know, going online and we're in this Zoom meeting together and we're listening to these, you know, the leader of the Green Party, Elizabeth May, and politicians from every background and people in the industry, and then finally having our members be able to go in person is absolutely unreal. And I hope next year I can come with the team in person.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, unfortunately I wasn't able to this year, but it was just lovely to see, you know, these fantastic women and my friends be able to have this come to its final ending. We've been waiting to go to QSIP in person for years, so it speaks volumes of what we've been able to do in like a women supporting women organization.
Yeah, definitely. This club has progressed so much since founding it, and I'm just really, really happy that we can say we're getting closer and closer to meeting our goal and furthering our goal of empowering women, and like within and both outside of the club. So it's amazing to see that.
100%. I totally agree.
Okay, Sophia, do you have any last words of wisdom for women who want to reach powerful leadership roles in our community?
This is a big question. I think it's a little bit tough to answer, but I think words of wisdom is probably just believe in yourself and surround yourself with people who are not only working towards the same goals, but just support you in what you're doing. I think that my dad says a lot that you are the average of your 5 closest friends. And I think it's not to say that you are stuck in this bubble, but that you can lift other people up and they can lift you up. And I think that is my words of wisdom would be to surround yourself by people who are working towards the same goals, support you, empower you. I think a really good example is our new president-elect, Emily Kalajian. She and I became friends through the Social Science Students Council, and I am so proud that she is the new USC president. And I think that we laugh about everything and we talk about everything, but we also support ourselves in our professional endeavors and our political endeavors. So I think that the best thing for women and just for people is to surround themselves by people who support them and can make them a better person and have them reach their goals, whatever that may be. So I think that's my word of wisdom in a longer than one sentence quotation, but definitely something that I think is really, really important and can totally change your life.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Sophia, for coming out today and sharing your experiences. I feel like I've learned a lot from you, and I'm inspired to engage in politics and also to be more of a girl's girl.
I can agree as well. And thank you so much for joining us. Again, this is Her Voice in Politics.
Yay! Guys, this was so cool. Like, I can't. That was so fun.
Well, you just heard Her Voice in Politics.
Stay tuned for our next episode to hear from more voices in politics. We're your hosts, Emma
and Rosina. See you next week.